Hey guys, what's up? My name's Jason. I know a lot of people are running just a first aid kit. That's been me in the past. And first aid kits do have their place, something you can cover your finger, or, if you need like a ibuprofen or something like that. I think that's something a lot of people neglect is like a trauma kit, kind of having like a trauma first aid kit sort of kit together. So I'm here with Jaren, and you are a flight medic.
That's correct.
And we're going to kind of go over some of these Dark Angel medical kits that we have here. These are going to be trauma kits, first aid kits, and I believe this is kind of a sort of a mix of both as well as this one.
More of a mass casualty kit, but
Yeah, probably no casualties on this
yes.
side, but more so of, just general things that you might do around your campsites. But then, you go from something like this to something that, if you pull up on something.
Bad car wreck on I-70, this would probably be due if a lot of people are hurt and there's actually some severe hemorrhage or accidents going on. This would be something you use that for, or inside a school or a corporate building. But we'll work our way down from, like you said, just from like a small first aid kit all the way up to a mass casualty bag.
You can't just go out and get this and expect that you're going to be able to know how to use it. At the very least, I would say take a training course. They do offer training courses. This could be very helpful for you. Like, there's a lot of instances while you're out, either camping, off-roading, that you could really injure yourself, starting from just like a general burn from like a fire or something like that, to completely rolling your off-road vehicle and smashing an arm or something like that. If you're out in the wilderness and you go out as far as we do, not really a good chance that you're gonna be able to get to a hospital very quickly.
Yeah, so the first aid kit, this is one that Jason has here. It's the Adventure Medical Kit. It just comes with your basic stuff. I kind of compare a first aid kit to anything you would find in your medicine cabinet. So just some small bandages and moleskin, splinter picker, very basic stuff. It's good to keep in your car, but if you ever come across anything where you need actual medical care and help, it's really not going to help you much, especially with the accidents we can endure out on the trail. So like I said, we're going to start from the kind of smallest up to biggest. This is called the ouch pouch. I would say it's pretty much like a first aid kit. It comes with a lot of different bandages, hemostatic gauze, just a small one. Not going to do a lot, but if you do have a pretty significant cut, it will. It does have hemostatic in it, and that's what stops the bleeding. You do have that, and then just some gauze that you can wrap it with.
Yeah.
So the next one is your pocket kit. It's about wallet size. It does fit in the pockets pretty nicely. It comes with very minimal stuff, but it's more geared towards the trauma setting. So you have a quick clot in here, which has that chemical in it that does help you stop bleeding. It does have a hyphen chest seal, so if you have any kind of open chest trauma, any kind of hole in the chest, not in the belly, so from like your xiphoid process or your breastbone up, that's where that's used, and a compression bandage. So we're gearing more towards the trauma, so this is also pretty good to keep as well. So next we have the dart kits. These are more geared towards trauma only. I wouldn't call this a first aid kit. Technically, I guess the umbrella term would be first aid, because that's what you're doing with it, but it's geared towards trauma. So most of these kits are based off the TCCC, which is Tactical Combat Casualty Care Committee. They base it off what's called MARCH, which stands for massive hemorrhage, airway, respirations, circulation, and then head to toe assessment, and then environmental. So all these kits are on this side are based off that. So we'll be controlling bleeding, controlling your airway, and any kind of other kind of injuries you have. Obviously, bleeding out is the most important thing. So we have the tourniquet on both of these. They're just a different color on the outside, which we can show you how to put on later. Shears, always good. They'll rip through your clothing pretty easily. And then we can pull this, nice red tabs, and that opens up everything you need. All right, so starting from the top, we have some quick clot. So this is hemostatic dressings that we can use. Behind there, we have 2 hyphen chest seals. Most of the time we carry 2, just we think bullet wounds. When you have an entry, you also have an exit most of the time. So we carry 2 of those. So any kind of penetrating chest trauma, so from your, pretty much where your rib cage stops, anywhere your lungs are, up, we would use these. Compression gauze. So once you rip this open, it actually gets pretty big. Just for saving space though, it's compressed into a nice little vacuum sealed package. And then we have the emergency dressing, so just another long trauma dressing. And then what's called an NPA. So it's like a silicone latex free tube that we stick in your nose, usually the right nostril, and that lays in the back of your throat. Typically, like in my job, we size them, but this is like a one size fits all for most adults. If you want to know why we have something like this that goes in your nose, oftentimes when you are unconscious, your tongue falls through the back of your throat and you're not able to breathe because it occludes it, so we kind of bypass that with this small tube. It's very different from a endotracheal tube, or if you see someone tubed in a hospital on a vent. This is nothing like that, so don't be scared if someone needs one of those. Also, with any of this medical training, we'll name some training opportunities that you can be a part of, but if you don't know what you're doing, don't really play around too much because it can be dangerous. So this is the same thing, just not orange. It is worth mentioning, since we do have the orange color, a lot of civilian tourniquets are colored orange just because they're high vis. So when people get on scene, like myself, if I have to air evac somebody, I know that they have a tourniquet if they did not tell me. The ones that people that are trained carry most of the time can be black. Even on my pant leg here, or even on my arm, that'd be very hard to see. So if someone put an orange tourniquet on me, obviously you would know that was there. So for the secondary responders, they will be able to know they have a tourniquet. So we're going to move on down a little bit. Next we have, it's called the Explorer kit, a little bit bigger. It kind of has the ouch pouch and the dart kit all in one. So you have a tourniquet, you have your hemostatics, you have your compression gauze, your chest seals, emergency blanket up here. When people lose blood and they're outside like we are today, we can freeze to death very easily. So as you're losing blood and you're laying on the cold ground, if you could just wrap someone up, anything will really help. So this is kind of like a trauma kit and first aid kit. You have your tourniquet, all that stuff for massive hemorrhage, burn dressing, so you get too close to the fire, splinter out, multiple different types of Band-Aids, aspirin, Benadryl, ibuprofen. So good thing probably keep in your car, or if you just want to take it in your day pack. It's a very similar one. I keep this one in my car and I keep this one in my day pack, except I add a few first aid kit items to it, like the bandages and ibuprofen and stuff like that.
Which is another thing I wanted to kind of bring up, is that pretty much most of these have ways of adding, like, even this, you can add any little extra things in there. Like, let's say you have somebody that's, I don't know, what's a good one, like diabetic or something like that. You could probably add some of that stuff to these kits if you want to. And, that's why it's great that they have a lot of extra pouches and, little things that you can put stuff in other locations as well.
Exactly. So you can buy this kit just like this, or you can buy just the bag for most of them. That's what I did because I stock my own stuff. Since I'm trained a little higher than the lamest person, I just keep stuff in there that I know how to use personally. So let's move to the St. Mike. So this is a pretty extensive kit. We won't say certain instances, but this is probably something you could find in maybe a warehouse where you would need things from a splinter of finger cut all the way up to massive hemorrhage. So if someone gets crushed by a forklift, or if they cut their finger in the office, this will pretty much cover everything. So one of the biggest difference with this St. Mike bag compared to some of your smaller trauma kits and first aid kits is it's kind of like an all-in-one. You might find this in like a corporation. We won't talk about other instances where you would need this just for YouTube, but it does have massive hemorrhage stuff, quick clot, multiple different tourniquets, which you could probably fit more than one in these little pouches, all the bandages you could dream of, sting relief, and then a few different ones that are not included but are good ideas is a first aid mask, especially if it's someone you don't know. That'd be kind of weird. So next is a SAM splint. So this is a metal with foam around it. It's very pliable, and you can see in the picture there, you can pretty much wrap it around any fracture, any broken bone you have, and that's a common thing that might happen out here. You also have ACE wrap in here that you can just bandage someone up if they do break a bone. This is what we use in the medical field just because it does fold really nicely, and you can cut it with not household scissors, but any of these trauma shears that come with the kit. So another kind of important things, hand sanitizer. It's good in this day and age. Eye wash. Bottled water is fine for your eyes too, but it's always nice to have something that's made for eyeballs. Another thing that comes in the St. Mike that I would probably suggest if you know anybody that's diabetic. Most diabetics are pretty good about keeping their supplies with them, and they kind of know what it feels like. But if you have someone that's maybe a new diabetic, or they forgot their kit that they carry with them, it's always good to have something like this. So you can use candy, anything with sugar in it. But if someone has low blood sugar and you come across them, this is always good to have. And this is something I keep in my car kit as well. It's just a tube of that. Anything kind of works, but just be cautious if someone's unconscious and it's due to their sugar. Don't put this stuff in people's mouth because it does. It just sits there. They're unconscious. They can't swallow, and they could choke. So use sparingly and only if they're alert. So like I said, this bag is pretty extensive. Comes with a lot of stuff. I don't want to pull it all out, but I'll kind of go over. So your hemostatic dressings, your full-size compression bandages, gloves. Use them if you don't have them. That's your own choice if it's someone you know, but you want to always protect yourself before you help others. Doesn't do any good if you're harming yourself as you're helping others. So compression bandages, emergency blankets, Curlex, trauma shears, all the gauze, all the ACE wrap, another SAM splint. Like you saw, it carries a lot of stuff, everything from the first aid to the massive hemorrhage. This is something you can keep in your car. You'll definitely be prepared. It may seem like it does have a lot of stuff, but if you have 1 or 2 people that may be seriously injured, it's really not. You have 4 limbs, 2 tourniquets, or 4 tourniquets. So something you could keep in the car in a corporate environment, warehouse, school, even at a range. That's a big popular one for this one too, just to have an all-in-one first aid and trauma kit. This is an IFAC first aid kit, trauma kit. It's individual first aid kit. So going camping, I would like to see at least everyone have their own for their own injuries. This is also built out very extensively, but it's an individual kit for the most part. If you're going out with many people, you're having a day on the range where you're using any kind of firearm, this is good to keep. It's just kind of a good backup because anything can happen. We're all safe and everything, but like he said, if we're rolling a vehicle, get burnt by a fire or any kind of accident, using chainsaws out here cutting up wood, things happen. So pretty much covered with anything like this. So this is also a trauma kit. It velcros right to the back of your headrest. Doesn't matter what kind of vehicle you have, it does fit up there. So you can see this buckle at the top. Hit the buckle. Usually in a lot of first aid settings, everything that you're supposed to grab is red. It's kind of a rule in the medical field, I guess. So you take this, it pulls straight off, and it's a lot easier to tell someone to go grab it off the headrest than to find the kit buried in your truck somewhere. This comes with a lot of the same things the other kits do. Very similar to the dark kit, actually. So you have the NPA right there, the tube that we would insert in your nose, or you would. You have your trauma dressing, your chest seals, and then your gauze and gloves and emergency blanket as well. So very similar to that kit. You have your tourniquets, you can add 2 right there. It does come with trauma shears in the back as well. And it zips up and sits right there. So ease of access, and it's a good kit. Opens up very, very nicely as well. All right guys, so earlier we talked about tourniquets, so we're just going to do a quick demonstration on like unpackaging and how to actually apply it. It's worth mentioning that when you get your tourniquet brand new, it's going to be in plastic. You want to take it out and set it up accordingly, because if your hands are bloody, wet, or anything like that, it's going to be really hard to get into that packaging. So typically they're just kind of wound up, velcroed. What you want to do is set it up so when you need it, you have it. So stretch it all the way out. You want to just pull it. There's a band inside of this that creates the tension. Pull that out and then feed your end through there, and I leave about 3 inches or so, just like that. And then from there you can just wrap it up like this, and it kind of velcros to yourself, and then you put it in your holder. You never want this closed until it's placed on whoever you're placing it on. You can write the time there if you want, but you always want it combat ready, or ready to deploy when you need it. We're going to demonstrate on an arm here. It's going to be the same as a leg. We prep it like that so when we need it, we can immediately just open it up and slide it on the arm. For layman's terms, you want to go high and tight. That's what they teach you, because if we can't cut his shirt but he's bleeding out, we can assume if we go high up on his arm, that will cover any injury that's down here. So I'm going to slide it all the way up on his arm. We want to get it as tight as we can with this initial strap. So not loose, very tight. Wrap this around. Do not put it in the plastic part. Now we're going to give about 2 to 3 turns until the bleeding stops. Right now I can feel his radial pulse right here, and he has no pulse. That means I've occluded blood flow from here down. So if he had any bleeding from here down, you would immediately stop it. At this point, the windlass is in your plastic. You can tuck that through so it doesn't come out, and then take your white strap and secure it and write your time. Let's say he was by himself and he injured his arm where he does need to apply a tourniquet. So he's going to also place it high and tight, and it's important to remember that this red tab, I always think of it red, always goes towards your heart, so pointing it that way. Your black ones also have the red tab. It makes much more sense to pull this way and get as tight as you can rather than pulling that way. So if you want to demonstrate that, pull it towards yourself, wrap around, tighten the windlass until bleeding is stopped. And you're ready to go.
Yes, if anyone's wondering, I did actually pick up 2 things from Dark Angel. I picked up the ouch pouch, and I also picked up the header as well.